promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Lagos. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. French bandits attack leaves 35 dead in Nigeria's Kwara state. Self-defense group opposes negotiations with armed terrorists in Mali.
Each time, these self-defense groups release videos that demonstrate their presence on the ground to protect their own people.
World Government Summit opens in Dubai as Sierra Leone signs economic agreement with UAE. And public university staff in Ghana denounce changes in conditions of service, embark on nationwide strike. Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Augustine Bill Coley.
Many thanks for being with us this afternoon. We begin in Nigeria, where bandits killed at least 35 people during a French attack on a remote village in Kwara State. According to local sources, the attackers stormed the Wadr village late Tuesday night, setting fire on buildings and shops. The attackers considered deadliest assault recorded this year in the district bordering Niger State, an area increasingly targeted by armed gangs. Several people were still missing on Wednesday morning as authorities are yet to provide details of any security intervention regarding the attack. Meanwhile, Nigeria's former Justice Minister Abubakar Malami and his son Abdulaziz are facing multiple charges, including terrorist financing and illegal possession of firearms. They were charged on Tuesday by the Department of State Security, which imposed 5 counts upon them. This decision comes months after the Financial Crimes Watchdog, EFCC, charged them with money laundering. Prosecutors alleged that in November 2022, Malami knowingly abetted terrorism financing by refusing to prosecute suspected terrorism financiers whose case files were forwarded to him while he served as Attorney General. Let's join Usma Umar for the details.
Upon their arrival at the prosecuting agency on Tuesday, Abubakar Malami and his son Abdulaziz pleaded not guilty to the charges and requested an oral bail application. However, the trial judge rejected the request and directed their lawyer to file a formal application. They were ordered to remain in the custody of the Department of State Security, DSS, ahead of the commencement of their trial on February 20, 2026. The arraignment adds to Malami's widening legal troubles, which includes separate ongoing money laundering proceedings and a related asset forfeiture case before the Federal High Court. In December, Malami was charged with 16 counts of money laundering and conspiracy involving billions of naira. Defense lawyers argued the pair had already spent 2 weeks in detention and were brought to court from the hospital, but the judge insisted on a formal bail application. Prosecutors also claimed that in December 2025, Malami and his son were found in possession of a firearm and cartridges without a valid license. These offenses are punishable under Section 26, Subsection 2 of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. The former Justice Minister and his son are remanded in the DSS custody pending the hearing and determination of their bail application. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
We cross over to Mali, where the Chief of Staff of the Self-Defense Group, Dana Ambasagu, is opposing the possibility of negotiating with armed terrorist groups in the Banjagara region. Speaking during a recent media appearance, Yusuf Toloba accused certain village chiefs of entering into what he described as illusory agreements. He called for unity and the mobilization of traditional Doso hunters to continue the fight against terrorism. Abdullahi Hassan gives the details in this report.
According to the Chief of Staff of Dana Ambasogu, these agreements between certain village chiefs and non-state armed groups do not guarantee the safety of the population. He said the agreements risk further deteriorating security in the Banjagara region. Yusuf Toloba warns village chiefs against any negotiations. Even though attacks are less frequent in this part of central Mali, Amadou Longue, a young leader in the region, believes that dialogue remains a possible path to restoring peace to the area.
I believe there is a need to bring the two sides closer together in the sense that peace is what everyone needs. And with the transitional authorities have a very clear vision. It is to truly restore peace and above all harmonious coexistence between communities. This won't necessarily involve dialogue. When you travel today along National Route 15, you see a period of calm that has been observed for some time, and this has resulted in dialogue.
Yusuf Toloba reaffirmed that his Dana Ambasogo militia will not lay down its arms. He announced the mobilization of his troops, the Dozos, to defend the population against terrorist threats. According to him, these efforts are appreciated and welcomed.
Each time, these self-defense groups release videos that demonstrate their presence on the ground, and they have only one goal: to protect their own people. These are people who have joined voluntarily. So when it comes to mobilization, I think they are ready.
Despite the ongoing terrorist attacks, the issue of negotiations with armed groups continues to be divisive in a still fragile security context in central Mali.
A report from our Bamako correspondent Aliyu Cham, voiced by Abdullahi Hassan. In more security matters, the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, is warning against the worsening security threat in the Central Sahel, marked by the expansion of jihadist groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. During a digital press briefing on Tuesday, AFRICOM Commander General Davin R.M. Anderson cited the Al-Qaeda-affiliated group JNIM as one of the main actors in the insecurity in the Sahel region, highlighting the increase in pressure exerted by these groups on the states and capitals of the region. Faced with this situation, the U.S. Military Command for Africa is calling for strengthened regional security cooperation and intelligence sharing. Christopher Aticho tells us more.
According to General Anderson, the deteriorating security situation in the Sahel is transnational in nature and threatens to spread to the coastal countries of the Gulf of Guinea. He stressed the need for a collective response based on intelligence sharing, surveillance capabilities, and improved regional coordination. The head of AFRICOM reaffirmed that the United States prioritizes partnership with willing and capable countries, citing Nigeria as an example of enhanced cooperation in the fight against terrorism in West Africa and the Sahel. Also speaking during the briefing, a senior non-commissioned officer with AFRICOM, Sergeant Major Garrick Bamfield, stressed that persistent instability in the Sahel region promotes the establishment of violent extremist organizations, recalling that security remains an essential prerequisite for stability and economic development. Alongside security actions, AFRICOM supports the development of centers of excellence in North Africa, particularly in Morocco and Tunisia, to strengthen the training and interoperability of African forces in the face of evolving threats. A few days before this warning, the Islamic State group claimed responsibility for an attack on Niamey Airport, while its rival Jenim continues its operations against fuel supply convoys in Mali, killing several drivers, illustrating the persistence and diversification of the methods of operation of jihadist groups in the region.
Christopher Aticho fight that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
To matters of international cooperation now, the government of Sierra Leone and the United Arab Emirates are strengthening economic relations through international partnership. This collaboration culminated in the signing of a comprehensive economic agreement at the ongoing World Government Summit in Dubai. The 2026 summit in the UAE has been held under the theme Shaping Future Governments. For 3 days, government officials and international leaders are convening to discuss global economic issues aimed at addressing future challenges. Imo Edit has the details.
This summit brings together governments, international organizations, heads of state, and private sector leaders from around the world to foster international cooperation and identify innovative solutions for future economic challenges. Delegates are discussing ways to ultimately inspire and empower the next generation of governments. During the opening ceremony, Sierra Leonean President Julius Maada Bio held high-level bilateral talks with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, on the margins of the World Government Summit 2026. The engagement resulted in the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (CEPA), a landmark deal aimed at deepening economic relations between Sierra Leone and the UAE. On his official Facebook page, the UAE president said the CEPA reflects a shared aim to elevate trade and investment cooperation between the UAE and Sierra Leone, while delivering lasting prosperity for its people. For his part, President Bio said the discussions were productive and focused on expanding cooperation across key sectors critical to mutual growth and development. The Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement is expected to open new opportunities for trade, investment and strategic collaboration, reinforcing Sierra Leone's efforts to strengthen international partnerships and attract foreign direct investment.
Imo added with that report, in Liberia, more than 700 victims of a recent demolition exercise in Monrovia are alleging violations of their rights and demanding justice. On Tuesday, the aggrieved residents erected roadblocks along major streets in the capital, leading to the national legislature, disrupting traffic and drawing attention to their plight. The protest follows last Saturday's mass demolition exercise carried out by armed police officers accompanied by court sheriffs, leaving several residents homeless. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The roadblocks along the Sinco Drive were eventually brought under control following the intervention by state security. Undeterred, the protesters marched to the capital, where they presented a petition to lawmakers urging redress to the matter. In their petition read by Rose Dawegaye, the protesters complained that they were not provided with adequate notice, lawful compensation, or transparent communication before the demolition of their structures.
We, the lawful owner, occupants of the property, having acquired some through purchase, inheritance, lawful occupants supported by valid documents, including these permits, tax receipt, or other legal instruments. Some properties were demolished without lawful notice, due process, court order, or adequate compensation.
In response to the petition, Representative Opidiah Viney, co-chair of Claims and Petitions at the House of Representatives, and Sam Brown of NIMBA, assured that the protesters' grievances would be addressed to the leadership of the House.
If the person has legal document, definitely that will be another case. And when they run for the demolition of property, we'll make sure all damages are happy over there. All losses, the sea law will make them pay for it.
Meanwhile, the Liberian government, through Deputy Minister for Public Affairs Daniel Sino, disassociated itself from any involvement in the mass demolition, asserting that the decision was court-driven.
So go to court, and what you pray for is a favorable judgment. The two parties, the court must rule, and the eviction order is issued, and properties are demolished.
The situation remains tense as affected residents await a response from lawmakers and to seek a redress for what they perceive as a grave injustice. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Meanwhile, in Ghana, academic and administrative activities in public universities across the country are facing disruption. Senior staff at government institutions of higher learning are carrying out a nationwide strike protesting recent changes to their conditions of service. They complain of unilateral adjustments by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission regarding their welfare. Our Accra correspondent Nadi Titi tells us more.
The industrial action commenced Tuesday at the University of Ghana and is expected to spread to campuses across the country. According to the association, the changes were introduced without adequate consultation with staff or their representatives, prompting the decision to withdraw their services until the matter is addressed. The group is calling for immediate engagement with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and other relevant government bodies to resolve the dispute and restore confidence in the management of staff welfare. The strike is already raising raising concerns within the education sector with warnings that lectures, examinations and other administrative operations could be affected if the action is prolonged. Authorities and education stakeholders say they are closely monitoring the situation, citing possible implications for higher education delivery and student welfare. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, which regulates pay and working conditions across the public sector, including universities, is yet to formally respond to the action. Until a resolution is reached, universities nationwide are likely to experience continued disruption. For WADR, Nadiri Teti, Accra.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. French bandits attack leaves 35 dead in Nigeria's Kwara state. Self-defense group opposes negotiations with armed terrorists in Mali. World Government Summit opens in Dubai as Sierra Leone signs economic agreement with UAE. Public university staff in Ghana denounce changes in conditions of service and back on nationwide strike. Still ahead in the news, we have a press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Concerning governance matters, the government of Benin has unveiled a new public policy framework. It is known as Vision Benin 2060, Alafia, a world of splendor. The plan was officially published on Tuesday by Benin's President Patrice Talon. The strategy is designed to guide Benin's development over the next 34 years. Sankula Janko tells us more in this report.
In his address, President Patrice Talon emphasized that Vision Benin 2060 is not limited to a planning document. He described the vision as a long-term strategy for a peaceful and prosperous Benin, respecting the principles of good governance. The document also envisions a country with strengthened cultural and international influence and the ultimate goal of sustainably improving the living conditions of the population.
Building a country, laying the solid foundations for its sustainable socio-economic development requires rigorous, thorough and preserving work. It is a company that does not accommodate improvisation, but one that requires reflection, planning, method and patience.
The 2060 vision identifies main projects to be undertaken over 34 years to ensure the country's development is sustainable. It emphasizes the responsibility of public decision makers, reminding them that the choices made today will have a direct impact on the nation's future. Abdoulaye Bio Chane, Minister of Planning and Development, is responsible for coordinating government action.
The legislative character given to this vision meets a major requirement. It guarantees the continuity of our choices of development beyond political change. The Benin nation has made a choice of maturity, responsibility, and sovereignty.
According to the authorities, this new plan is based on the expectations of citizens in the country's 77 municipalities. They maintain that the document symbolizes peace and prosperity, key values for the sustainable development of Benin.
A report from our Cotonou correspondent Aziz Adam Sule, voiced by Sankule Janko.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's now join Sandona Mendy in Banjul for a review of the local dailies.
We begin with the Alkamba Times, which leads with the headline, Treasury System blamed as $2.8 million say transfer remains unreconciled. Questions over public financial management have resurfaced after authorities failed to account for a $2.8 million transfer, which is equivalent to $38,385. Gambia urges nationals in Spain to seize major amnesty opportunity. The paper also reports that GG defended record amid Cyprus poll showing public dissatisfaction. The government has responded to the latest Cyprus national opinion poll, acknowledging public concerns over corruption and economic management, while insisting that the ruling National People's Party remains well positioned ahead of the 2026 presidential election. We now turn our attention to Forea newspaper, which says High Court orders hearing notices in UTJ lecturers' dismissal appeal. The High Court has instructed that hearing notices be issued in the appeal filed by dismissed University of the Gambia lecturers. The paper also reports that the Gambia Press Union launches sexual harassment policy, a new code of ethics. Next is the Standard newspaper reporting that Gaysau appointed Legal Affairs Director at ECOWAS Commission. Gambia welcomes Spain's plan to legalize 500,000 migrants. And that wraps up today's press review. It's back to you in the studios.
Sanduna Mendy there with the press review from Banjul.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, our guest interview segment focuses on an agreement reached between Mali and Guinea towards the development of an alternative route for the transit of its goods. Following the last cabinet meeting, the Malian government decided to cede 10 hectares of land to Guinea for this purpose. In return, the Guinean authorities are making port facilities and cargo handling services available to their Malian counterparts at the port of Conakry. However, to unpack the possible economic benefits of this agreement, including other future challenges, we are joined by economist Al-Hassan Makanira Kaki.
La coopération entre la Guinée et le Mali.
The cooperation between Guinea and Mali is a strategic cooperation for both countries, will reduce the pressure exerted on him in the framework of trade relations, especially in the transport of goods. If I take mainly, today, Mali is facing a fuel problem. The Guinean roads are the safest and easiest to secure roads. So first aspect, for Guinea, the path could be profitable because it will also allow Guinea to do work to enlarge the port and an import financial income with investments that Guinea is going to make here. We were competed by Côte d'Ivoire and on the other side by Benin. If we really take part, finally, most of the goods and services imported by, I would say, not only Mali, by these countries of the AES, will only go through Guinea. So economically and financially, it is profitable for both countries.
The 10 hectares provided by Bamako must allow the construction of logistical infrastructures and warehouses. What impact could this have on the transport and logistics sector in Conakry?
First, in Conakry, we have a fleet of vehicles, meaning large transport vehicles, but there is no cargo to transport. So there are trucks, there are drivers, but all the staff. Once we have this significant opportunity, the port infrastructure will be strengthened and renovated, and the expansion of the port of Conakry will create direct employment. Initially in Guinea, in terms of salaried and permanent positions, there will also be a multiplier effect from this investment because we will have a certain number of vehicles involved in transport, and it will generate even more revenue because we have at least one national toll road. So all the trucks that will pass through will make the investment in this toll road profitable. So really, it's a whole set of multiplier effects for both countries.
And faced with the difficulties of Bamako to supply hydrocarbons via the Dakar-Bamako or Abidjan-Bamako axis, HD Kumale-Bamako axis perhaps a solution?
For me, it's the best solution. From Conakry to Bamako, it's a safe route. There is no possibility that the convoy will be disturbed, as we see today on other routes. So the axis that remains to be ensured is to cross Mali and Bamako. And on security level, it is possible. It is more preferable for Bamako to use the port of Conakry in the hydrocarbon and domain because the securitization does not pose enough problems. So strategically, Mali has won everything when it comes to its supply of hydrocarbons. It uses the port of Conakry.
This new access via Guinea, can it really improve the competitiveness of Malian imports and exports, according to you?
Automatically, it will go beyond imported products to pass through the port of Conakry. But even the production done in Guinea can be destined directly to the same site in Bamako. So instead of saying it's just the port, the fact that transport and logistics are reinforced, you will take imported products, but products that are Guinean origin too, that can go directly to the port in Mali and vice versa. And this cooperation will lead to great investments for the improvement of the Conakry-Bamako axis.
Al-Hassan Makanira Kakei is a Guinean economist. And in the world of sports, the Confederation of African Football will hold its executive committee meeting on February 13 in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, chaired by CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe. A press briefing will follow the meeting. Key items on the agenda include a review of CAF regulations, notably the CAF disciplinary code, aimed at strengthening sanctions and improving governance, integrity and competitiveness across African football. As well, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has defended his decision to award a peace prize to that's U.S. President Donald Trump, dismissing calls for a boycott of the upcoming World Cup. Infantino says there is no basis for boycotting the tournament, which will be hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico from June 11 to July 19. And in basketball, Cameroonian star Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers has been selected for the NBA All-Star Game for the fourth time. The 31-year-old has been in fine form this season, averaging 23.8 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 4.1 assists ahead of the All-Star Game on February 15 in Los Angeles. That's the latest in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Mauro Juf for the technical support. To interact with us via our social media platforms X, Instagram and Facebook at WADR English Service. At 1 p.m., Demba Amaan will be here with the comprehensive news in French, which is Info Chez Vous. However, our gender program 50-50 with Nadia Tete comes up shortly. I am Augustine Curley. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County.
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.